implementation, we need to develop strategies, and then we will find projects that fit within those strategies. So this is the first blush of what residents have said about what they feel are going to be useful strategies, what's impacting them as we start thinking about these strategies. So we're not presuming kind of what disinvested communities need, but we have a strong kind of data set that we can start basing these decisions off of. So that sets the stage here. We're kind of moving towards the conversation of strategy development, with the very first step being, well, what does the community think? Or what does the community need? What are their assets? And what do they think we should be doing when it comes to SURF? So with that, I'll hand over to CJ and Sarah.
Good morning, everyone. This is Sarah Middleton, and I'm going to kick off this piece of our meeting. I'm going to go lightning fast because I want you all to have enough time to hear from CJ, who has the excellent analysis and findings to share. In my role with SURF, I have been honored and privileged to serve as the outreach and engagement consultant. And I think you're aware by now, but we had 27 grantees who were focused on outreach and engagement between the months of July and September. Collectively, these organizations outreached to a little more than 285,000 unduplicated individuals across Orange County. And this was our timeline. I'm not going to read any of these slides. You have them in your meeting packet. And at any point, if you have questions about the process or any of the activities that took place, please feel free to reach out to me. I'll drop my email in the chat. This is a little bit about outreach, the languages that outreach were conducted in, and then the locations that outreach was also conducted in. So you can see we covered a lot of ground with these 27 grantees. And I should mention too, of the 285,000 individuals that were outreached to, about 13,000 of those folks were high quality, meaning that our grantees received direct input and feedback from them. These were some of the outreach mechanisms that were used. Grantees got super creative in soliciting feedback and input from individuals around Orange County. So this was a phenomenal community activation effort up and down our region. I'll close with just some photos. Again, you've got all of this in your packet. And now I'm sure for the information you've been waiting for, what did all of the outreach and engagement efforts tell us? So over to CJ for that.
Thank you. And then as I get ready to share my screen, huge kudos to Sarah and all those who participated, the community members, and also those who helped coordinate it. It was fantastic. So thank you all for that. So this is a portion of all the things. So I'm giving you like kind of the highlights for time's sake for this meeting. But I'm going to go through some of the primary findings, and then there will also be a larger document shared that has more robust finding with all the questions. So just to give you an idea, this is the distribution of the different participants and who's involved regarding that. So for each of my screens, I'm going to identify an N, just so you're aware. So the actual number of unduplicated headcounts will be on each of the screens, so identify that for that. And then we have here by percentage, the variety of participants by organization. I'm also, for the record, just going to go through this relatively efficiently because what we have to cover, but obviously there will be space for questions or any follow-up. But I just want to provide a distribution. Obviously, Viet Rise at the very top with a lot of, they have 13.56% with a large contribution with OC Hispanic COC, and the BPSOS are those above top, above 10%, but we have quite a few involved. Also get an idea, this is one aspect. We have other demographic information, but again, we're kind of focusing for sake of time. This is just the idea for those participants who chose to respond. So some of these questions, you'll see why is this number a little lower. If we have information from participants and they responded, this is in there. If not, those numbers obviously aren't included because we don't have a response. So within those who contributed, the community members, we have a majority at under $25,000 per household income that they responded to, and also 24% who prefer not to say. So as far as the known, the under 25,000 was the largest representation, followed by the known information set of those between 25 and 50 at 18. Over 100,000, we have 15%, and then below between 50 and 75 at 11, and then 75 and 100,000 at 8%. So now we're going to highlight some of the questions that will respond to the responses we got. So we'll go through those. And again, this is a sample of the overall survey. So what is or are your occupations? List more than one. If applicable, if you're in a school, list student. Out of the 4,156 responded, the largest representation by far was over 25% were students. So a lot of those were students who either were solely students or were students in some sort of capacity with maybe a role they served. And that could be professional, that could be a home caretaker, but student was the largest representation. We then had homemakers, housewives, in ama de casa, as Sarah responded and identified. There's various languages, so these responses were also translated to identify and ensure that that population was considered. Followed by the retired, nonprofit sector, health and education professionals, or service industry reps, admin roles, self-employed, blue-collar jobs, unemployed, and other roles. And you also have a copy of this. So I'm going to, like I said, going through this quickly. But we were, you'll have what kind of responses are. If I feel like there was a little bit more information needed, those were provided. Now, in this community, it was asked, select your top 3 solutions to ensure that there are accessible, high-quality jobs for the most economically disadvantaged individuals and families. So our respondents were able to respond more than one time, up to 3. So you'll see a high-level responses, and we'll see the distribution of that. So we'll see there's actually 15,216 points because people could respond more than once. And as we can see here, a big, out of the options provided, a big take home of that was education, training, and developmental programs. That was at 28%, a large request for that. Next, followed by workplace representation and right to unionize in 19%, a high representation there. Then we go to 15% environmentally friendly projects that provide high quality. And then entrepreneurship, job placement at 13, reliable transportation at 10, and then other at 2%. Now, individuals also have the ability to provide responses when there were available. So I have a couple with some throughout this presentation that will just highlight as far as it maybe helped really capture what the sentiment was from those. So some response, for example, here is, we need to educate people with personal finances, which I can provide. The businesses need to learn how to protect their businesses, how to still manage at times of recession, depression, or any economic or pandemic times. You'll see, not surprisingly, that financial support or an ability to access finance is a real big theme that we will be going across and be addressed in different questions that come across from the respondents. Another one that we looked at is select your top 3 solutions for increasing health equity in Orange County. Another one where there was people to respond multiple times, again, top 3. So we have 15,500 on this. So 26% said affordable and high quality comprehensive health care was the most representative sample that all were looking for within their top 3. That was followed by health education to support healthier lifestyles at 17%. 16% was access to services that meet specific healthcare needs. Now, even though these are beyond our top 3, we still have high representation in expand collaboration and partnership between healthcare providers at 12%. 10% at more healthy healthcare professions that reflect the demographics. Also at 10 is access to caseworkers who can identify specific healthcare needs and resources. 7% is culturally sensitive care. And lastly, there is the other categorization with this specific question. A sample here of responses: more capacity in healthcare networks and providers. Hospitals and nursing homes tend to be over capacity, although there was a great need for healthcare in these spaces. So that's just a reflective response from our community that really kind of reflects the answers that were provided and given. Next is, what strategies would you recommend for growing Orange County's economy in a more equitable way? So this was open dialogue. So we got 4,520 responses. Affordable housing was very noted here. Again, anything from building more affordable homes, single and 2-bedroom apartments, and also creating neighborhoods exclusively for first-time home buyers to really help us protect that environment. We also have education and training, so really investing in anything from job training to teaching to concepts of business concepts, and then providing even adults, the senior or active adult training, and also for identified as disadvantaged communities as well. What rounded up the top 3 was support for small business and entrepreneurs, and these include not just advice but also grants or credit opportunities, Also, opportunities to collaborate with other entrepreneurs and really provide more education in that category type. And then we have community investment, public transport and infrastructure is big, job opportunities and fair pay, government policies, and environmental considerations are the others within these top responses available. An example of this as far as existing is the OC Board of Supervisors can place a bond measure on the ballot November 2024 with a 2/3 majority. We need a multi-billion-dollar bond sale to fund affordable and permanent supportive housing in OC. We also need to change zoning laws to make it easier to build denser housing and ensure that every house development includes a certain percentage of housing units that are affordable to low-income and very low-income folks. So there was this is a sample of that. There was some incredibly robust comments that came forth that really show the need and desire from the community. So again, thanks to all those with the work involved in that. So next was please select the 3 most important goals in making your high road economy vision a reality in Orange County. What those look like were, at 21%, growing industries that create high quality jobs, followed by those increasing economic equity at 20%. At 19, we have increasing health equity. 14%, we have increasing environmental equity. And then we follow at 12% with both better preparing and responding to economic shocks, and also better aligning with state climate goals, for example, clean energy, air pollution reduction, sustainable water management. And then lastly, there is the other category. Now, in this, the other respondents, we got 122 here. Affordable housing came up again, as far as a critical point for how that blends into that, including importance on access to jobs, housing accessibility, and really providing really more of an opportunity out there is really what the community is asking for those. The second item was better education, really stressed that really more access to this, critical thinking, decision making, really providing that for the community, financial stability and fair wages, climate resilience, sustainability there, as far as really helping to reduce carbon footprints, and last, equitable opportunities. So what that means as far as really engaging with specific communities as relates to housing, job opportunities, resources available to them. And a couple sample responses there include life skills. If individuals were better equipped for younger ages, they would be more independent, self-sufficient adults. So really kind of providing opportunities and more guidance at a core level through our education system, and also invest in P16 for local resources, particularly in areas we talked about earlier with job opportunities, but STEM is in high need communities for program experiences and also enrich life of children and their families. So, as you discussed earlier, decisions you're making on occupations really blend into other aspects from these community responses. Are there underinvested occupations or talents in your community that with additional support could develop into high quality jobs? So this is a yes, no, followed by some responses on that. Actually surprising on this was no, 58% feel like there's a lacking of that support within their communities. So really, in my mind, really led to a greater need, and we'll see that in some of the responses, with 42% saying yes. And then if yes, the question was what occupations or talents are there? So really highlighting there. And we've got over 1,000 responses here. So I'll quickly go over the top 3. We have education and training. So really, it's really identifying teachers and tutors in the community, especially when it comes to educational technologies and supporting those. Arts and crafts is also another notable imprint as far as really helping those with these talents, help them become profitable in their businesses and support those growths with that skill set across the board. We have painters, musicians, all types of skills there. Culinary skills is another big talent. They've got chefs and individuals who really have some big talent. But the question is, how do we best support them in running those and creating businesses that support themselves and the community? Others, I'll go over to kind of wrap up the top group, were healthcare, construction, technical jobs, small business ownership, counseling and social work, childcare, community service, and also other occupations that were included, which include things like barbers, daycare workers, public speakers, and then positions in hospitality industry. Sample response here included a lot of immigrants have higher education degrees in valuable fields from their home country, but don't know how to get it certified in the US in order to work in that field, essentially untapped labor. I was just this week presenting at the adult ed program labor conference in LA. And this was one of the huge topics within the community college system that was asked of how do we better provide educational opportunities to evaluate the skills of our community members. We also have you thought about starting your business? Yes, no. So 67% said no, with 33% saying yes. And then the responses kind of can show you really where the challenges are. If yes, what happened to your business? So a lot of it is lack of financial resources. So either the high cost of starting a business, and then also difficulty obtaining loans or financial support was a big challenge there. Additionally, lack of knowledge or support. So really how to operate, to go through this. It kind of it speaks to earlier respondents about wanting to have the educational ability to know what is resources are out there, how to really, they want to learn, they want to have a successful, but what can they learn to make sure they do have a successful business? Others included language and cultural barriers, as far as challenge, time constraints, business risk and market condition. Those are big concerns by the community. In addition to personal circumstances, as family issues, businesses in progress or not yet started. So this kind of difficulty getting started up. A failed business, so having prior experience of this and how we move forward. And then just a variety of other examples, including high taxes or dealing with city. Examples here is I had the idea of starting a Mexican Salvadorian breakfast business. Unfortunately, I couldn't fully support myself financially with my businesses due to a lack of funds to start and time to dedicate to its management. The high cost of rent, lack of access to low interest loans were significant barriers. I also felt I lacked the necessary business knowledge and legal support. Eventually, I had to make that decision of shutting down. So just a small sample of what the challenges exist there. And then what is the biggest barrier you experience in starting a business? And with the options there, access to funding is, is really tried and true. It kind of goes through here with the example here with 38%. That was followed by lack of network and mentors at 16. At 15, we had complicated legal and regulations. And then we had work and family responsibilities and other. And then the last one, 5%, is bias and discrimination. And then as we look here to wrap up, would you like to be updated on how you participate in the process moving forward? So we have half the members at 4,646 that responded that want to engage. So there is a desire to move forward with this kind of support. It's just a matter of how we can best do this and help navigate it with the work that you're all doing here. And sorry, I had to through that relatively quickly, but that is it for those responses.